Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of Hot Combs and Popcorn. For those who don't know, my name is Bobby.
I'm Danielle.
And I'm Bree.
And one of the things we like to do on this podcast is review movies and television shows from Black culture that we should have seen by now, but we just haven't gotten around to it. And at the end, we're going to discuss our thoughts and our feelings as zillennials, and we'll be rating these movies from a scale of 1 to 5 hot combs. Today, we're reviewing Menace II Society, which was written by Alan and Albert Hughes and Tiger Williams, and directed by the Hughes brothers, aka Alan and Albert. So they're just in their twin bags. It's starring Tyrone Turner, Lorenz Tate, Jada Pinkett Smith, Clifton Powell, many more. Menace II Society was released on May 26th, 1993. It's rated R, emphasis on the R, that is a capital R. And it has capital, and it has a runtime of about 1 hour and 37 minutes. And just in case you haven't seen it, and I guess you're just okay with spoilers, I'm just going to give a quick synopsis. So Menace II Society is set in the early 90s in the Watts neighborhood of LA, and it follows Kane Lawson, who recently graduated high school. He's 18 years old, and he battles to escape the street lifestyle upon graduating high school. But a wrench gets thrown in his plan, where his best friend O-Dog involves him in armed robbery that results in murder. And I'm talking, that's like the first 5 minutes. So
not even 5 minutes, first like minute and a half.
Literally, first minute and a half, he was out here. So let's get into it, ladies. So what are our overall thoughts of Menace Society, and how do we feel about it?
I just don't see why I would have been exposed to this movie before the age of 16. Okay, I don't understand why I would have seen this movie, why my parents or any adult would let me watch this movie before the age of 16, maybe even 18. Like, I just don't, why would that happen? The R was deserved.
It was.
Yeah.
So much happened.
So much. Yeah, this is one, and the thing is like, it's so iconic, and I feel like a lot of people have seen this before the age of 16. And I'm just like, how and why? Because it doesn't
a movie theater screen at that.
Oh, right. And it doesn't even seem appropriate that like it would just be playing constantly like on BT or VH1 or something. Like, was it? I don't know. But so how are y'all watching it? And why at the tender, ripe age of 10?
Honestly, and it's a classic for them.
For them, yes.
And I don't know. I was watching SpongeBob at that age. I can't relate. I was a Disney kid. I cannot relate to watching a drive-by done with a 3-year-old involved. Like, I cannot.
Literally. I mean, I guess I could understand like if you were already exposed to this kind of content, like if your life was his life, then I could understand that. But for people where it's not like that and their lives are completely different than what's being shown in the movie, where are y'all getting the guts to watch this full through without pausing? I don't understand.
Full through. I don't know. And I was kind of confused in the beginning because, like, there was the narration. Oh, well, there's narration throughout the whole thing, but there was narration in the beginning, and I thought that it was going to be in O-Dog's point of view because of like what was happening. So I was like, oh, so you're not Kane. You're him. Like, I was very confused, like, until they got to like after the scene where they were showing like his dad shooting people and all that stuff. Once they actually got to like present day time and they showed who was Kane, I was like, oh, so I was wrong.
The culture lied to me. They made me think Lorenz Tate was the main character in this.
Yes.
I thought because I mean, don't get me wrong, he was more than a menace. Like, he is the title. He was
the menace.
He was the menace, along with Chauncey, who is another conversation.
Yeah.
But I did not, if you had told me there was someone named Kane in the movie, I would have no idea because no one ever talks about Kane, but it's literally his story. It's literally his story, and you don't hear anything in like casual conversations about it. If anything, I hear O-Dog quoted way more than anybody else. So it's just like, I guess because maybe it was Lawrence's first big role. I think it was his first role before Love Jones. So maybe that's why people like fell in love with him, because he was living that thug life and that was very attractive, you know, at the time. They was at one point trying to get Tupac to play O-Dog. So maybe that's what's going on at the time. But like you said, like if you didn't grow up in that lifestyle or grow up watching like the Watts riots and things, it would hit you different. And you can only know what people tell you. So when I found out that that is not even the main character, I was like, guys, I've been let down. Like,
Tyrone Turner got booted out of his main role in his own movie. You know what? I would love to have seen Tupac play O-Dog.
Okay.
I would have lived because something about first of all, he didn't even look like how I remember him looking. And after when this credit started rolling, I was trying to guess like who was Lorenz this entire time, because when I tell you, like, I did not recognize his face in this movie.
No.
Yes, and I was like, wait, Lorenz is O-Dog? What? I was shook. Something about the little braids that he had going on. I don't know. It just kind of threw me off. But I feel like Tupac might have done better personally. That's my controversial opinion. I didn't really care for him that much. Yeah, O-Dog. I mean, that's O-Dog.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he did. I'm not gonna say I know people like him. That would not even like.
Not me drinking water as you say that. Like, I almost died.
I'm not gonna say that because I can't. I'm not gonna say that and put that out there. But there are people like him that act just like that. I think he had a little little man complex. I don't know if they put that in the script as a part of his character, but like the fact that you could just look at him the wrong way, he would shoot you. But in real life, like that's what people do. That's what people do now. Like you look at them the wrong way, they shoot you, they kill you. And then I'm not going to say that his anger was justified in the first minute and a half of this movie. However, I know that this was supposed to be like after the Watts riot happened and the young Black girl got shot by the store owner, the Asian store owner. So I'm thinking that's kind of like where that buildup comes and why you see that out of him the first couple of minutes. I was like, wow, we don't even have title screen. And usually like 90s movies, it's like music. Even if it fits the vibe, I was like, no, he did. That both of them did. Like
I'm sorry. The part when he was like, I don't want no trouble, but your mom should be. Well, I was like, now, sir, you done brought this upon yourself. Why are you talking about his mama? Like,
right. You should have just let him leave.
Right. Just say, I don't want no trouble, and they would have left. But now you got to bring his mama into it. And you want to say after that, I don't want no trouble. The math isn't math.
Slick comments to get people killed. They do. People be like, oh, you ain't about that life. I'm going to say something slick. And then look at him. He was dead on camera.
Dead. Mm-hmm. On camera, right through the middle of the forehead.
Right through the middle. Which, I have a point about that whole tape that was really just jarring. So when we get to it, I'll bring it back up. But yeah, I mean, I thought overall it was a really real movie. I really liked. I always like when they add any type of footage of real life stuff going on. Mm-hmm. I feel like you don't see that nowadays. Last time I saw that was with Spike Lee, because it's Spike Lee with the Five Bloods. You don't really see like the death part in found footage anymore. So I thought that was great. Stylistically, I thought it was, it was a nice thing to watch.
It was giving 90s for sure. This is
it was 90s.
Prime 90s. Mm-hmm. And we knew that from the very beginning when that narration started going. I was like, yeah, here we go. All we needed was a record scratch.
Yeah. It was giving BET. I was like, wow. So this is exactly BET.
Yes. This is probably what was played a million times at one point is BET. Like,
yes.
Yeah. Like
they probably cut out some of those things though. BET censors a lot of that stuff.
Oh, for sure.
They wouldn't even be able to show the movie because like it was just like blood everywhere, gunshots everywhere, pow, pow, pow. on the ground, bitch. That was literally the entire plot of the movie.
It was angry. It was angry.
It was so
Rightfully
angry.
so.
And like, part of me understands, you know, like, I get why people would be angry with their given circumstances. And like, he said himself, like, he didn't care whether he lived or died because I guess he didn't have any models to even look after of what could be for him, you know, until he met, or not met, but like Cherie, what was his friend's name? The Hotep?
Oh, Sharif?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Until Sharif's father was like, you know, showed him what else. And so it's just like, I understand why you would be angry, why you would just be wanting to just rob people and kill them. But I want better for you. I do. Like that's really what I got from this whole beginning. Just do better.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I agree. I feel like, again, it's hard to judge things when you know what the not intent, but like what's going on in the world around it. And that, you know, it was LA during that time. And there was no secret of, you know, conversations about super predators and stuff when a certain person was president. So I have a strong feeling that it was very normal to see things like this back then. I will say they was catching bodies like Pokemon. Like, it was, people were dying all the time. And I will say, from a film perspective, I appreciate that they really showed, this is gonna sound really weird, but they really showed like the humanity and fragility of people when they die. Because I feel like you see things now, and even when we see people get shot in the head, it's very like clear cut. But like the cousin that got shot in the drive-by, like he was shaking on the ground, like people were twitching, and I liked that it was that raw and real. Like, if you're gonna do that, show us what really happens to those people and their bodies and stuff when they get killed, because that's unfortunately what people on the street are watching. Like, they're seeing it, and I think that was the whole point of the movie, was to really like put maybe a viewer who doesn't live in that to watch and see what people are dealing with during that time. It's just interesting to watch it now in 2022. Yeah, it's interesting. I will say, I also find it interesting that they were so bloody. It was so bloody. People was getting pistol whipped, shootouts, everything. Yeah. But the sex scene, just a little peck.
I forgot about that.
And away. And I was like, what is going on with the censorship when it comes to movies? Because
you
watch all these people get killed, but
we could watch someone bleed out, but God forbid we see a nipple. Or even a belly button.
Okay. They say you're gonna see the back. You're gonna see the back. And that's it. It's a nice back.
You get one shoulder blade.
A shoulder blade.
Take it or leave it.
Which is unfortunate, because I feel like, because I had no idea that Kane was a main character or a person in this movie, I had no idea that there was another person to look at in this movie.
He's fine.
He is fine.
I feel like we got robbed. I had to watch all these people die. I had to watch him get shot up. But I can't watch that.
Boo.
Boo.
That's 2 thumbs down.
Bricks. Like, I was like, what's going on?
No, really though. Yeah, that was a lot. But let's start from the beginning, because at first, when his dad first popped up on the screen, I was like, is that Samuel L. Jackson? And I was like, no, that can't be Samuel L. Jackson. But then I was like, wait, no, that is Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah, I liked him. I wish we saw more of him, although I understand that it was about the character arc and he had to die. But
yeah.
If I'm gonna see like a movie about crime and violence, I like to see like that seasoned character, you know, the one who runs shit, and like Kane is out here, he's like a baby in this lifestyle. But I would have loved to see his dad like mentor him, I guess, really teach him the life, I guess. I don't know, but he died, and that was unfortunate.
I honestly thought that if it was either his dad or Purnell. I think Purnell, is that his name?
Yeah.
Because they just said, "Oh, Purnell went to jail for life," and I'm like, "Well, what'd he do?" Like,
who was Purnell? I don't even remember who that was.
He was the dude that was like on the stoop, and he showed him the gun, and he like let him drink the beer and whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
He's Jada Pinkett. Which, how does that work?
And ask the question, because that was my
notes.
It was in my notes.
Because if him and Kane and Jada are like the same age, and Purnell is supposed to be Kane's father figure, why the hell?
Brother?
Wait. What?
Like, age-wise. Because that's the father figure. No, because that's his father figure, right? But he's also
Wait. Are you talking about
how old is Jada in this movie? Because
maybe she's actually older, because the way that she was talking, she was like, "Oh, I'm just studying." It sounds like she could have already been like in college or something, and she has a son. But if she's studying, I just don't see her being in high school. I just don't see it. So she's got to be in college. So she's got to be at least like 2 to 3 years older than him. But that still doesn't make sense, because Prentice is the father figure, or Purnell.
Yeah, I'm not really, because I was doing, what did I write down? I said Parnell is Kane's dad figure and is Ronnie's baby daddy. I was very confused, because I was like, this is like, I don't think I meant to say brother and sister, but I don't understand. If Parnell was his father figure this whole time, then who did he see Ronnie as originally? Just like his father figure's girlfriend? Like, right. And as a kid, which is Parnell's son, there's a lot of questionable activity going on.
Yeah. It's giving Predator, but then also, like, just in general, I don't know if I would feel comfortable dating my parents' ex, whatever. Like, it's weird. It's weird, and having sex with him and raising their kid.
That's what I'm saying. Like, isn't he like raising his brother? Like, that's like, because that's his father figure, right? That's his father figure. So you're gonna tell me that?
Yeah.
I don't.
But then Purnell gives the blessing for him to be with Ronnie. So I'm like,
I mean, good for him, but still, it doesn't.
It was still
that wasn't matching for me.
It wasn't matching. I think it's probably because Purnell knew he was never leaving jail, and he would just be like robbing his son. But like you basically like prepared your son to be the husband of your girlfriend.
Oh my god!
Something weird's going on in here. And I don't like it. It's fishy.
It feels like somebody was a minor when somebody was not a minor, and they got together at some point.
Right. And they just decided to leave it ambiguous, because who cares? It's 1993.
Honestly, though, let's not pretend like stuff like that wasn't happening in the 90s.
Okay.
Like, there's a plethora of movies where the age differences of things is real questionable.
Yup. But no one ever talks about it. Like, no one ever brings it up because it's not crucial to the plot. But I low-key think it is crucial to the plot. Like, it just...
That's why there's a subject that doesn't get talked about in reality. Yeah. So I don't feel like they're going to talk about it in a movie.
Right.
You have to disband your belief in logic, because if not, someone he should be in jail for another crime.
Well, the thing is, like, I actually didn't even like put 2 and 2 together until you just brought it up now. So like, that's like how normal, I guess it is. The only thing that I was side-eyeing was the fact that he decided to date Jada after his dad did, but I wasn't even thinking about the age difference, because I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess they're together now, whatever. They used to be. And so, but now that you bring it up, it's like, oh, damn. This is it's too prevalent.
It's giving Jerry Springer. No, it's not even giving Jerry Springer. It's giving Steve Wilkos. That's what it's giving. It's giving Steve Wilkos and some Family Ties type of stuff. That's what it's giving. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
I am not a fan. But what I was a fan of, okay, his grandparents were they were classic Black grandparents. Like, when he was at their house and they were watching It's a Wonderful Life, I was like, yep, that's it right there. That is my grandmother. The plastic on the couch.
Yes, I was just about the couch.
The religious lectures with scripture.
With scripture. The praying, please save my grandson while he on these streets, so I'm gonna kick him out. Like,
yes, and then actually kick him out. Like
even him having old dog, calling him by his real name, very Black grandparent thing. He said, actually, y'all come sit down on this couch.
Kevin,
I'm gonna talk to y'all. And that was also one of my favorite like cinematography moments, or directorial choices moments, because even though when they would show the two boys, it was like regular, they were doing that upwards camera angle to the grandfather, kind of trying to like show that he was talking down to him, but they weren't looking up. So I'm wondering if that's trying to show like they don't really respect his authority, because usually when they're doing that, the camera's looking up at someone and looking down at someone.
Yeah.
I caught that choice. If it was a choice that was made on purpose of like, okay, he's
like
trying to figure.
The grandfather had a low angle, and then the two of them were eye level.
Yeah, like they didn't make them have a high eye angle to him.
Oh yeah,
which I think is when you knew they was lost.
That definitely is a choice. I feel like this movie was very I'm not saying this like it's like a bad thing, but it felt like very like cut and dry, like copy paste, very like basic like cinematography practices. And so like when there is a moment like that, it's like, oh, okay, we should pay attention to what the grandfather's saying type of thing. But like nothing else like really like jumped out to me per se as far as like camera angles, but that is a good catch. That is a good catch. Like the grandfather, he has authority and they should respect him, and they clearly don't.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. Truly.
I didn't peep that, but that is a good catch. Because like Bobby was saying, I didn't really see anything super special in this film, like angle wise or whatever. It kind of just seemed like, I'm trying to think of a movie to compare it to, but I don't have one. It kind of just seemed really like you were saying, basic to me. I didn't really see anything that was like, ooh, I like how they did that, or I like how they did that, blah, blah, blah. But I do think that certain scenes, I was like, oh, like that was, I really liked how they, like you were saying, the scene where his cousin got shot. I hate saying liked, but like I liked that scene because like they were like fighting with like what to do type of thing, and like, should we stay with the cousin and blah, blah, blah. And that seemed really real to me because they're like, he's not gonna make it. Like we might as well just like leave him and go. And I liked how the hospital scene, I don't know like how I felt about it. I think I liked like when they brought him in and he was like falling out, whatever. Some of the acting in that, I was just like,
I'm saying the nurse asking for forms while he's sitting there bleeding out.
Bleeding out.
I mean, like, I know racism, but also.
And then him like coughing out, and I'm like, are you okay? Like, what is going on? It was just very telenovela to me.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of like, I don't know what show I saw this on, probably a bunch, because a lot of them do with the sitcom, but you know, like when it's like an animal or like a rat or something running around places and it shows the eye level of the rat and people just staring at it, it was giving that. Like it was giving like, they're showing the point of view and everyone's like, oh my gosh, like, get away from me. I was just, maybe that was the point of the racism part, but I was just like, this is chaotic. Yeah,
it was very melodramatic, which I mean, yeah, he's bleeding out, sure, it's supposed to be dramatic, but damn, can we use some common sense, please? Because it was that moment where I just could not suspend all of my disbelief, where this nurse would prioritize forms over putting him on a gurney.
Okay, She's like, you need to fill out the form, ma'am.
Okay, like Hippocratic oath, ma'am. Do no harm, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Unless it's just the racism, which is also believable.
But was she black? Was she black?
She was white.
She was? Okay.
So that's why I'm like, I'm back and forth with it.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I don't know. It could have been framed differently.
Yeah.
I do have a overall theory about it, about the movie, that I liked the choices were made. So like halfway through the movie, I was kind of annoyed that they kept like, there was no real transition between scenes. It would just go dark and then another scene would happen, right?
Yes. Oh my God.
I thought about it. I have a theory. I thought about it. I feel like you see plays do the whole narration thing. And I'm wondering if it was written like that, like written like a play and you going into different acts. Because I know that obviously Hamilton didn't have, and Hamilton came out way later, but as a recent example, they kind of had the background dancers and stuff narrating, singing little things in between. You know, you have the girl who's playing the bullet, shout out to her, she's won an Oscar, stuff like that. It was like a common theme. And I feel like him narrating it, which I think is a great stylistic choice to have someone who's dead narrate it, because
I always appreciate that.
I'm thinking you're alive, you're never, well, he's not. Having it that, and then having like the lights come down and up, I feel like that's kind of how they switched sets when it came to theater. So I'm thinking maybe it was a choice of like trying to make it seem like it was a theatrical type of like play performance rather than just watching a movie, because at least that's how my brain rationalized it. If it's not, then I'm totally confused as to why. I know Dissolve at least was created back then. So I'm just gonna hope that it was a stylistic choice, because it was really like, it took me out of it to just see the light go down and then back up and in a different place. I'm just like, this is not theater. But then I was like, maybe it was trying to replicate theater.
That is a great point. I wasn't even thinking about that. And now I'm over here on Wikipedia trying to figure this out. Like, do they have some kind of theater background? I haven't seen anything about a theater background, but even if they don't have a theater background, like the way that like we tell stories, at least like I guess like westernized stories, it's very clear 3-act structure. We have the exposition, hero starts his journey, meets a mentor, whatever. They go through like at least 3 checkpoints, and then they have the fall, and then they come back, you know, like that happens all the time. And so I feel like they would at least have that in their mind, like the 3-act structure. So maybe they were just trying to separate the acts and make it very clear, so they know and we know that we're entering into a new like chapter of the story, you know. So I can see that working out for them.
Fingers crossed.
Like in reality, when I was watching it, I was just like, what is going on? So I checked to see like how much time was left in the movie, because I was like, is the movie about to end or something?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I was confused. Like, it just didn't. If that was their theory or what they were trying to accomplish, it just didn't work for me, because I was like, I don't need it to go black. Like, just move on to the next scene. You don't need to like now this like.
Right. It has been a while since I've seen a literal fade to black. Like, I don't see that. No. We don't do that often ever. Maybe this is just a 90s thing.
Yeah.
Because I want to go back now and see like where it faded to black, because it happened a couple of times, enough for me to notice it. So now I want to see if they did it when the acts were over and done.
They must have, because I feel like it only faded like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I think it was 2 times.
So that's got to be like right in like at the plot point. Now is it worth a rewatch? Maybe not, but this is interesting, and I will keep it at the back of my head. Oh man. But do you guys have any highlights?
Hold on, let me look at my notes.
I kind of mixed mine in.
Not you thinking this hard about the
no, because I've mixed mine in. Like, my highlights were like, well, I see that not everyone feels like Lawrence Tate had a great performance, but I thought it was good compared to seeing other movies that he's in and then seeing him be a little blank in the movie. I was like, ooh, you are a problem. I have a low light that is attributed to that problem, but I'll go to that when we get there. But I think I listed everything. Oh, I do have a highlight. So I really liked how much they tried to put reality into this, close to like how they were like killing people. I really like, I've never seen it in a movie before, but I know it happened in Chicago a lot, probably still does. And I've heard about it happen a lot back then, of police dropping people out in other gang territories.
Yes.
I like that they show how dirty the police really is outside of news making headlines, because I feel like people have this concept of the only bad things that cops do to marginalized groups is shoot them and kill them on camera. But no, like, we're not gonna get into all of those things, but one of the things that they do and that they did back then was putting them in separate gang territories, hoping that it'll make them lives like hell, hoping that if you don't tell me what I want, I'm dropping you over here. So, I mean, shout out to the Mexican gang that didn't do nothing to them and took them to the hospital. That's some real life like stuff that happened, not just in LA, not just in Chicago, like was really happening in urban areas. And I'm glad they put it in it because I've never seen it in a movie.
Yeah. That was kind of similar to what my highlight was going to be, but I was going to talk about the ending. As bad as it sounds, I'm glad that they didn't make him survive, because I feel like a lot of movies try to do happy endings and try to make everything come full circle. And like for this one, it would not have made sense to me if he did survive, because like he got shot like so many times. And so for it to have like made him survive, it just would not have gone with like the flow of the movie, in my opinion. So I'm glad that they kept it realistic and they were just like, nah, this is where his story ends and blah, blah, blah. And I think it kind of also made it that, I don't remember what Ronnie's, Anthony is kind of set up to be the new Kane. Yeah. And even though he's moving to Atlanta, like he's seen so much, and he pretty much was living out like the early beginnings that Kane had. And so now they're kind of like pushing that onto him. So I thought that was really interesting that they made that happen. It seemed pretty realistic to me. So
plus he also got shot earlier and already survived. And I'm glad y'all brought this up because I had both of these things written down. One thing that bothered me though, when Anthony asked Jada if the police hate Black people and she said no, I was like, girl, you cannot shield this little boy forever. He has to be like, what, 5, 6, and he's already asking these questions because he sees what's happening around him. So you lying to him is going to do him no justice.
Yeah.
That pissed me off. And especially because I feel like parents actually do this like in real life. That really makes me mad. And I also had written down about the gang taking them to the hospital instead of like beating them up or harassing them or whatever they was gonna do. But like, also like the thing is like she said, no, the police don't hate Black people. But I'm thinking like, how did they even end up in the hospital? Because the police took them to the rival gang's territory and then that gang put them in the hospital. So it's like common sense, girly, it's not working.
Yeah.
And then I knew as soon as even before they talked about him moving to Atlanta, as soon as Sharif mentioned Kansas, I knew Kane was going to die. I knew it because that's always what happens. You know, like you get a way out. Finally, you're going to achieve your character arc of, you know, seeing your faults and seeing where you could change yourself. And as soon as you get that chance, night before, day of, you die. Yeah. Every time this happens consistently. So I just had a feeling it was going to happen, but also because like that does happen in real life, which is just quite tragic, quite unfortunate. So I was happy that he died as well. He kind of had to, not to be morbid, but like they kind of had to make an example out of him. Yeah. And it's like, this is your reality if you don't change your life, and it's up to you to do that.
I think they did really good at that smothering feeling that I think people who like get exposed to the streets in that way and it's like stuck in that lifestyle, I feel like you can't get out, because on top of that, obviously he had to look over his shoulder for Parnell before he had that conversation with him, and people were always kind of at him. And then you also have to remember, like, if he didn't die, he was going to jail because, and this was one of my lowlights, not this, but the reasoning behind it. Because Chauncey got mad that his manhood was beat up with the back of a gun, he was I'm gonna turn in these tapes to the police because he beat me up. So now he's gonna go to jail. And it's just like, you felt that smothering, like, can't breathe, can't figure out how to get out of this. If it's not one thing, it's another. Like, you know that it's a thing. And plus, like, he was also willing to just like leave his kid to go with Ronnie to Atlanta. So you knew that was going to get addressed somehow. You didn't know if the woman was going to come back up or what. But yeah, I will say my other low light was like the toxic masculinity in this movie.
Oh, let's talk about it.
It was, and I know that's like a trigger word, and I am very aware that things are different in the 90s. I'm very aware of it. But just to watch it now was just like, Jesus. Like, it makes me wonder if people who were kind of like those characters back in the day, if they see a difference and see their behavior any differently. Because the fact that Chauncey, who had been trying to pretty much assault Jada this whole time, you got mad because he wouldn't let you assault his girl in front of him, so you're gonna send him to jail for the rest of his life. Like, what type of petty shit is that? Like,
and the fact that Kane was the only one that said something, and it was only because they have already been together. There were four of them around this table. Four of them watching, and they're looking at Kane like, "What's your problem? What's your problem?"
Okay.
Like, you're really comfortable with sitting watching this woman get harassed. She is telling him
in her own house. Her
child is at home. Her child is in the other room. And like, y'all are just letting this happen. It's just ridiculous. That shit pissed me off. And you know what the fuck else pissed me off? This tape. The tape.
Oh my God. Yes, it's another low light for me. That was a yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Because yes, you're 18, you killed somebody. Why do you want to show that shit off?
Bro, they was watching that shit like it was a Super Bowl.
I'm like,
I'm laughing at it.
Of a VHS of you killing somebody. Like, what is this going to do for you? Like, you're stupid. You're gonna get caught. I'm so like, you're dumb.
And then what happened? You showed it to the wrong person, and you hurt his feelings, and now he want to send you to jail for the rest of his life.
And gave him a copy. I can't. Also, how desensitized do you have to be for everyone to like laugh when you shoot somebody and then like make fun of Kane for not doing anything? They're like, "Oh, you're just a bitch," or whatever. Like, why didn't you join in, or whatever they were saying? They may not have said that exactly, but that was basically what they were trying to say. And I'm just like, this isn't adding up. And showing it around and like showing off that you can kill somebody, you know, that's not really something you should be proud of, sir. You're 18.
I think watching this from a place of like, I don't even know how to say this. Watching this from a place of logic, is that a better way to say it?
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that are obviously not a smart thing to do. Like, you've already got so many things against you. And I guess this is just what happens when people don't feel like they have anything left to lose. Because that's the only reason why I could think that you would sit around and watch the store clerk get shot in the head multiple times and then like clown your homie for not doing anything about it. Like, again, I do understand that the Watts rally happened and that it was triggered by an Asian American versus African American situation. Like, I don't know if that's why they were laughing. I don't know if, you know, that fully is a part of why they were acting the way they were in general towards like the violence and stuff. But it was just like, bro, how y'all talk about women and us and our feelings? What are you getting out of this? Okay. Y'all done bullied him into doing the shootout of the guys who shot the cousin. He wasn't even gonna do that. And y'all done bullied him into that. Now he's peer pressured. Now he's a man, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like, and what be so sad about this is that this is a cycle that ends up perpetuating itself. And so they keep running the cycle, and it's always people like Kane that get shot and killed. Not saying that O-Dog deserved to get shot and killed, not saying Chauncey deserves to get shot and killed, but clearly Kane is the one that was trying to get out. And it's always the one that's trying to get out. Like, I'm not understanding. And I know it'd be like the irony of life, but clearly the other two, the streets were their life. Kane was having tough moments internally, trying to leave, trying to be a father to Ronnie's sister, brother, kid. And then you have O-Dog, who just don't give a fuck about nobody and shot somebody in the chest, a crackhead in the chest, because he told him he's gonna suck his dick, which clearly, I think logically you'd be like, he's probably saying that because he either want crack or money. He probably don't really want to suck your dick.
Right. That's his last resort.
So. And you shoot him in the chest. And his friends were sitting there like, bro, why did you do that? And he was like, what?
And then he stole his sandwich.
Like, you stole his hamburger. And he
stole the hamburger.
Like,
bro, this man was more than a menace.
He said, anybody with a hamburger? Like, sir.
I was like, Nick.
Sir.
Yeah, he was a menace. It's like, I'm trying not to judge him because like if I was to put myself in his shoes, I can see wanting to seem bigger than how I feel about myself. You know, so that's why I have to shop this around, why I have to just kill you, because I have to assert my authority over you to make myself look bigger and badder. But the sandwich, like, you would have to do
they're just
do all that. And he probably will go to jail. We didn't even need an epilogue because the tape, obviously, the police was already on their ass. So
I highly doubt that O-Dog lived past the age of 30. I highly doubt it. And that's not even like trying to be funny, because they're like, that is literally people's like lifestyle. That is people's reality. And it's really sad, like, that obviously it was like made into movie form. And I think it was maybe made to bring things to light more than it was to like be entertaining, I guess, if I could say that. But like, it's sad because that's people's real life lifestyle even today. But like, looking at it from outside of that perspective, there are clearly things that could have so many bad choices in this movie. Like so many. And it's sad because Kane couldn't snitch, so he was just stuck in there.
Yeah, he
couldn't do anything about it, and so he was going downhill from the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, because they definitely would have killed him if he snitched. So,
for sure. He couldn't have gone nowhere without getting killed. He could have went to Atlanta and still got killed for snitching in a while. It wasn't an option.
I was confused though, because they said that Chauncey went to jail, and that if he had not gone to jail, O-Dog would have killed him himself. Why did Chauncey go to jail?
I'm be completely honest. Was this like one of those like word paragraph things at the end?
It was Kane's narration. He was like, they got Chauncey and he went to jail, and if he had not gone to jail, O-Dog would have killed him for sending that tape.
Well, I feel like we don't even really need to know, because it seemed like everything that this man was doing was illegal. So, I mean, the whole carjacking thing with that white man, I was like, what?
I was very confused about that. I'm not even.
I was so confused. I was like, I guess I knew that white people did this already. You know, like, let me just go to someone else to do my dirty work, and I'll just pay them. But was that really necessary for the plot?
No, I don't think the car seemed to be in the plot at all.
Well, I think, was that what led them to getting arrested? Because remember the dog, like they sent the dog on them in the parking lot. I think that's what led them to being arrested and then getting thrown into the other territory. But
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was a different one, because that was when he met up with somebody himself. It was Kane and somebody else, some other white dude that he met in like a garage, and he got that car. So I don't know what Chauncey and the other white dude had to do with anything.
I think they were looking for a car to do a drive-by with. Like, I think they were looking to steal a car and it was up to O-Dog and Kane to get the car, and then they got caught by the police, and then the police cornered them in the garage, and then they got picked up, and then they got thrown into them. But are you asking why O-Dog was going to kill Chauncey over the tape?
No, I know why he was going to kill him, but I was like, they just said, oh, he went to jail, and I was like, is this like tape related, or is this like
anything could have sent Chauncey to jail, to be completely honest? Like, this man was foul. He was big foul. If it wasn't on an assault charge, it was definitely on because he was also a part of the other drive-by they did with the two dudes who killed the cousin.
Right. He was the getaway driver.
So there's a plethora. I think that's what that like smothering feeling was, that there was a plethora of reasons and rhymes of reasons any time of the day that you could get shot and killed or go to jail. Like they were so deep in so many things that it's like, take your pick. What do you think he went to jail for? Probably anything. Right.
It's like Wheel of Fortune.
Not Wheel of Fortune.
Wheel of Misfortune.
Yeah. I also was very confused as to what was in Kansas that they all wanted to go to Kansas.
I think it was just Sharif and his dad.
If I'm not mistaken, is Malcolm X is from Nebraska. Never mind. Then I don't know. Because I was thinking it was Malcolm X related, because the way it just seemed like Sharif's character could have been inspired by him. Maybe that's why they were going to Kansas. Maybe in this alternate universe, Malcolm X is from Kansas or something, or maybe they just trying to go back to their roots. I don't know.
Not just the multiverse of madness. not
this in the multiverse.
Not this big our Marvel movie. Hate it here.
Right. I don't know. But Kansas wasn't Watts, so.
Well, he did. R.I.P. Sharif, because he didn't make it.
Man,
Sharif was better.
Sharif was my favorite.
He was fine. I was like,
who plays Sharif? Vontae.
You would think it was just Lawrence Tate that was eye candy in this movie.
Okay, and it was not.
Sharif was kind of cute.
He was.
I would say there was. Oh, you know what's crazy? As we're watching these movies, I'm realizing how many people I've never seen young. And the guy who plays Chauncey is always like some evil villain character and everything, but I've never seen him young, which is crazy because he still looked like a whole adult.
You know, I was just about to say that. I was like, he don't look young, really.
Right. I don't think he was supposed to be a teenager, but just like seeing actors, it's always interesting seeing them in younger stuff or older stuff and seeing them younger, because I've never seen him at that age.
Chauncey was probably that one person who's like 26 and still hanging around the 18-year-olds. That's him.
You know, that's wild.
I'm not even gonna.
We just had a conversation about somebody.
That's a different conversation.
That's a different conversation. That's the exact energy that Chauncey is giving.
We absolutely just had a conversation.
And all of his besties are fresh out of high school. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, well, apparently it ain't that embarrassing because there's people in real life who do it. So
we know the names.
I'm just gonna table it.
Okay, so
so we already kind of
next question.
So we already kind of discussed our lowlights, our least favorite moments, but is there anything else that we haven't mentioned that just really grinded your gears?
Oh, it grinded my gears?
Ooh.
In a bad way.
Hold on, let me look at my notes.
I gotta think. My brain is mixing movies right now.
Yeah, I only have one thing left on my notes for real, but after the car, and like, listen, the movie was okay, but I know this is gonna sound touchy, but after the carjacking, when his cousin Harold got murdered, I just kind of like stopped caring as much about the movie. Like I wasn't as invested, and I don't even know why. I was just like, okay, it feels a little not like been there, done that. I think it's only because like because this movie is so iconic and influential, it didn't feel as like shocking, like the whole movie, because I've seen stuff like this before that was already based upon this movie. And I've also seen stuff that is 10 million times more violent and more graphic. Even though this movie was very violent and graphic, it just felt very baseline to me. based on the content that I've been watching throughout the course of my life. And this is just like one of the inspirations for it. So I wasn't like as checked in after that moment, because I was just like, well, I have a feeling I know where this is going, and I have a feeling I know what's going to happen. So after that, I just kind of was like, okay, I'm just in it to finish the movie at this point.
I feel like that's fair.
Yeah.
I feel like us watching things out of order is probably gonna ultimately have an effect on like how interesting a movie is, because there's so many things from each of these movies that we're watching that ends up in other stuff. And I think maybe if we, again, no reason why I would have seen this under 16. So I can't even say if I saw it before, because if I was watching this as a 14-year-old, I think I would have a very different opinion about this. Even as an 8-year-old, I think I would have a very different opinion. So I think it's just, unfortunately, we wasn't born then. Because if we go backwards, this is trauma now. Like, this is a traumatizing event. The more further back we go, like, it was very, like you said, bloody and gory. But it is something that's like, I've seen things stylistically look different.
Yes, it's the way that I watch John Wick like it's nothing, you know, because like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like the way that I watched Midsummer like it was nothing.
That's a different conversation. That's not even.
That's a whole different thing. So it's like seeing this, I was like, oh man, this is unfortunate. So like when I was watching the movie, I was just watching based upon like story. It wasn't really for like visuals. I wasn't really paying much attention to the other elements of filmmaking this time around, because I was just like, well, let me just finish it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I don't really think I was looking so deep like I did like the previous movies. I was kind of just doing the same. I was just watching. And so I think that's kind of a fair statement. Like, I don't think for me it was after Harold died. I think it was when did I really stop caring? I don't know. I think there was a point where I was just like, all right, we shooting people. Okay. They got shot too. Got it. Like it was just like getting repetitive, but I got the point of it. So I was just like, enough.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever a moment where I stopped. I don't know. I don't know how invested I was in it from the beginning to say that I stopped caring. I'll say when Ronnie, Jada's character, starts talking about moving to Atlanta is when I was just kind of like, this is not going to end well for him. And I think because I knew just from watching a lot of movies how things like this end, I think I kind of just knew that he wasn't going to survive. So it was just kind of just like watching the movie to the end. I knew either the case was going to catch up to him, the drive-by they did was going to catch up to him, or him stomping up the cousin was going to catch up to him. And one of the three caught up.
Yeah.
I think probably the only time I was really like actively in it is when he was covering the 3-year-old, because you really never know, they had some high artillery weaponry. Okay. Guns that should not be on the street. And sometimes those guns rounds go through one person to another. So it was like he was getting shot up, but is the kid shot up too? Because that's a very big possibility. So when the kid was fine, I think then I was just like, okay, the movie's over. It's gotta be. Because there's nothing to happen.
I had a feeling about that. And I was like, ain't no way. First of all, why are you, who is getting shot, running towards this little kid who they are not pointing at? They are pointing at you. So now they are moving to where you are running to, which is a little kid. I was like, just stay put, and they're not going to shoot him. But then they were shooting while he was covering him. So I'm like, kid got to be dead. Kid's not dead. It didn't make sense to me. I was just like, how is Anthony not dead?
Right. I'm glad he wasn't though.
Right.
But on that note, we are almost at time. So let's give our ratings, ladies. Final ratings on Menace II Society. How many hot combs out of 5 do we want to get it?
I originally said 4, but I'm gonna say 3.
What?
Yeah,
Oh.
I know.
Oh.
Okay, I said 4, but I think that first of all, I watched this very late at night, so I was a little tired. But I'm gonna give it a 3. It was a decent movie. I feel like it was really realistic. I don't understand how Kane doesn't have a lot of hospital bills, because he was in and out of the hospital. But that's whatever. But there were just some things that I was just a little. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna give it a 2.75. Okay.
Oh no! Oh no! I was not expecting it to go down. Oh no!
Now that I think about it, I'm gonna give it 2.75 because it was just I don't know, the age and how people were like how women in this movie were treated. It's 2.75. Mm-hmm.
I too originally gave it a 4.
Oh my god.
Okay, I think my rating is a 3.5/3.7, right? Because here's why. It's very hard to judge things in a movie during an era where the certain things are okay, right? Like Twitter, we know people was talking reckless back then. That's because you could talk reckless, and therefore that is the evidence that's come from out there. This is very much really how people acted back then. So it's kind of hard to be like, oh, they could have made this differently, but they couldn't. Like that is the only way they could do it because that's how people was doing it. So I have to respect the reality of it, and I have to respect the influence that this movie has had on so many movies. Like I think if this movie was not made the way it was, we wouldn't even see the growth of how people decide to make things, because this was like the baseline of it, right? So I have to give it its props for that. As far as everything else, yeah, it's gonna have to be 3.5/7. I want to give it a 4. I do. I don't think it really has that much rewatchability, and I don't think even for me, there's even like 5 out of 5 movies that don't have rewatchability for me for my own like reasons. But I think that this is a movie where like you've seen it, you get it. You've seen a lot of movies like it, and there's nothing too big that stands out from it. So yeah, I have to give it a 3. I'll just say a 3.7. I think it's really good. I don't think it's a 2, but I can see how uneasy it is to watch right now in 2022. This is not a movie they could make right now. Like they could make it, but it would have to be very different. The language would have to be very different. They make cop and like shows, gangster shows all the time. We see it, but like in the way that they made it, I don't think it really ages that well. And I think it's mostly because of like,
it's the misogyny. Yeah. That's really what does it age well for me personally. I think my rating is based upon my personal enjoyment, but also keeping in mind that like I didn't necessarily like grow up like Kane did, and this was made in 1993. So with that being said, my rating is a 2.5 out of 5 hot combs. It just didn't excite me, even like, but like past all of like the violence and whatnot. I wasn't really like that invested in Kane's life. I feel like his character, all the characters, they were built well, but I was just missing something that I really can't even like put my fingers on. It just wasn't exciting to me. I don't think this was just my kind of movie, Yeah. So that's my rating, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
And okay, so I guess this is it. This has been another episode of Hot Combs and Popcorn. Thank you all for listening. And once again, I've been Bobby.
I'm Danielle.
And I'm Bree.
And if you haven't already done so, please follow and subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, listen to us on Buzzsprout, and give us a like. Share this episode and tell us in the comments below, have you seen Menace II Society? Did you get to see it when it first came out? And what are your thoughts on it? And let us know what movie or television show you would like to see us review. And as you guys know, those streetlights are about to come on, so we've got to go. We'll see you next time, same place, same time. Bye.
Bye.